Okay, sit yourself onto your lift and then come into a good cross-leg position. So come into cross legs and just have a little wiggle about so that you feel that you're sitting evenly. So just place yourself down, have a little wiggle about. And just hold onto your knees. Hold onto your knees and elevate the heart area upwards. Drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Keep your eyes open to start off with, just looking at something that doesn't move. Just observe the sensation of the breath as you inhale and exhale. Just observe that you're sitting evenly on both seat bones. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. And then release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together, lengthen from the armpits consciously into the elbows, from the elbows into the heels of the hands, from the heels of the hands into the fingertips. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. Just focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, feeling the expansion of the chest as you inhale, feeling how the abdomen accommodates the breath, and observing as you exhale, as the chest relaxes and the rib cage relaxes. With an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest, feeling the stretch at the back of your neck, lifting your chest up to meet your chin. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release your hands down to the knees, palms facing upwards. Connect the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Just a gesture of wisdom and peacefulness that we can carry as intentions into our practice. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open, and then hold onto your knees. Lift up into the heart area, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and then draw your chin with the exhalation down to meet the chest. Again, feeling the stretch of the back of the neck, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Just lengthening out the back of the neck. Take a deep inhalation, and with the following exhalation, raise the chin as high towards the ceiling as you can, feeling the front of the neck stretching out. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation, bring the chin forwards and down to make contact with the chest, lifting your chest up to meet your chin. Just breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. And with an exhalation, raise the chin back up to the ceiling. Just feel that you can really stretch out the front of the chin, front of the neck. Keeping the shoulders down, pushing the chin consciously to the ceiling. And then on an exhalation, come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation. And then with an exhalation, draw your right ear over towards the right shoulder, keeping the shoulders down so you won't make contact, but you just try. Just stretching out the left side of the neck. Just draw the chin down to the floor, and then just move the chin gently closer to the ceiling. Just that action a few times, just find the space where you can really stretch out the muscles of the neck. On an exhalation, come back to the center and then stretch the head over to the left side. Just keeping the shoulders down, just finding the position for your chin to maximize the stretch. On an out breath, come back to the center and then back over to the right. Just finding that stretch along the left side of the neck. On an out breath, come back to the center and then over to the left. Keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. And then gently come back to the center. Just turn the neck around to the right, keeping the chest facing the front. And then back to the center, and then turn the neck around, the chin around to the left. So in spinal twists, we tend not to turn the neck. We turn the chest. We keep the chin in line with the chest. But just for this stretch, we are come back to the centre and over to the right again. We're really turning the neck. We're just giving the neck some space. And then back to the centre and over to the left again. And then come back to the centre. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, and this time keep the chin level with the centre of the chest. So as you turn, try and keep your head still as you turn all the way around to the right side. Drawing your abdomen across and your ribs across, observing your body's response to the turn. And then come back to the centre, hold on to your knees, lift up into the heart area. Just take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. Digging the back hand firmly into the floor so that you can keep the chest elevating up to the ceiling. And then come back to the centre. So just stretch your legs out. If you've got a belt handy, it's useful to have a belt. So shuffle off the lift so you're still sitting on it, but the backs of your thighs are free of the lift. And then bring the feet as throw the belt around the feet, and then bring your feet hip width apart. And then activate your legs, tighten your kneecaps, turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, and then elevate the heart area up to the ceiling. Push the feet firmly into the floor, into the belt. Push the feet into the floor as well, but push the feet principally into the belt. Lengthen consciously from the hips into the heels. Roll onto the front edge of the hips. Not on the front edge of the hips, sorry, the front edge of the seat bones, and lift up into the chest. Tighten the kneecaps, push the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. If there's no problem with your back, you're just going to come forwards just a little bit at a time. We're not going all the way down, we're just stretching out the legs. Take deep inhalations and exhalations, just coming forwards a little bit at a time. Keeping the abdomen lifting away from the pelvis, lifting the abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the collarbone, up to the chin, keeping the head lifted as you come forwards and down. So forward bending action should always be with the head lifted, never with the head dropped. Listen to the breath. Driving the heart area forwards. And then just come back to the centre, just again holding onto the belt like you're riding a horse. And then just come back into cross legs, but do the unnatural leg crossing position. So if you usually cross your legs with maybe your left leg in front, have the right leg in front. So we can do a bit of anulom, vilom, pranayama, which is the alternate nostril breathing. So there's lots of colds and things going around at the moment, and a lot of you guys have got coming down with things. So this is just a really good sinus clearer. We'll do some more sinus clearers later. So you just rest your hand on your left hand on your head, your forehead, and then you're going to kind of block the left nostril first, and then you breathe out through the right nostril. and then in, and then out. And then you swap over. You breathe out, and then in, and then swap out, and then in. So each time you swap the nostril, you do an out breath first. Okay, so just normal breathing to start off with. So we can do 10 of those. So the breath can be quite forceful. So just normal breathing, normal inhalation, normal exhalation. Take a normal in breath. And then cover the left nostril. Exhale and inhale through the right. And then swap, exhale and inhale through the left. And then do 10 of those. And then release and bring the breath back to a normal rhythm. Just take deep inhalations and exhalations. And with an exhalation, just again turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen across. Maintaining the breath through the nose if you can, come back to the center. With an out breath, turn to the left. And then come back to the center. Just come off your lift and sit on your heels. Have the big toes together, the knees apart, and then come forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana, aiming to keep the seat bones down on the heels, stretching into the arms. Spread the fingers, spread the palms, keep the arms straight, keep the forearms off the floor. Squeeze the outer elbows in. Lengthen your tailbone down towards the floor, down towards your heels. Continue to take deep inhalations and exhalations, listening to the breath. Come up onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards, tighten the kneecaps. Continue to breathe in and out through the nose. So when we're upside down like this, the nostrils feel different. But just continue to fill the lungs from the nostrils into the bottom to the top. Emptying the lungs consciously from the top to the bottom.
Keep the fronts of the legs straight, keep the shins pushing into the backs of the calves, and then just try and bring the heels down a little lower, stretching out the backs of the calves, but keeping the seat bones lifted, keeping the tops of the thighs elevating up towards the ceiling. So often as we bring the heels lower to the floor, we lose the action of the legs. So feel the action of the tops of the thighs and maintain that as you bring the heels down. So it's finding that resistance. I can easily bring my heels down onto the floor if I want to, but I'm trying to keep the legs really firmly activated. So there's resistance there. So it's finding and using that resistance. If I'm holding you the pose for too long, then just rest, bend your knees, come onto your knees. But if you can stay and maintain just a little longer, then do. Step your feet forwards, just come up into a standing position, get some blocks for your hands, and then align your feet along the edge of the mat. So the outside edge of your feet line up really precisely with the edge of the mat. Turn the fronts of your thighs inwards. Spread your toes, lift up into the chest. Just observe how your sinuses have cleared from being upside down. Have your hands on your hips, wing the elbows back, lift up into the chest. And then release your arms and raise your arms up. Have your arms wide to start off with. So if you've got a bad back, then come down into half uttanasana with your hands on your hips, just to soften the impact on your back as you come forwards. Otherwise, come forwards, hinging at the hips, keeping the arms outstretched, keeping the head lifted. That's the really specifically important part. Keep the chest lifted and then reach down and find the blocks, keeping the head lifted. So we never do a forward bend with the head, we do it with the heart, lifting the heart upwards, lifting the heart area away from the legs. If you can go down lower, then do. But if you lose the action of the legs, if you lose the action of the spine, go back to the higher lift. Feel that the legs can work all the way right up into the top of the thigh. Like we were doing in dog down when you're trying to bring the heels down. Lift the front of the leg from the front of the ankle all the way up the shin, up the knee and all the way to the top of the leg. See if you can get the thighs to work evenly. Lift the seat bones, project the chin and the chest forwards. Just feel where there is resistance, where there is freedom. Feel where your weight is in your feet and bring the weight into the heels. And then observe how much easier it is to lift the legs up to the top of the thigh. Bring your hands into your hips and then come up into a standing position. And then just be in Tadasana. Just the inner edge of the feet together and lift up into the chest. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just find your balance. Bring your weight into your heels by hitting the shins back, turning the shins inwards, turning the inner knees towards the back of the room, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, tucking the tailbone in, lifting up into the chest.
Stretching the shoulders away from the ears and lengthening the shoulders into the fingertips. Elevating the heart area at the same time. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet apart nice and wide so that the heels of the feet are underneath the wrists. Turn the left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out. Lift up into the chest, keep the chest facing the front, keep the legs lifting all the way up into the top of the thigh, and then reach up, look up. Just find your trikonasana, find the pose. Feel where the legs are, where the hips are, and try and align the hips with the feet. Try and turn the abdomen up to face the ceiling. Breathe in and out through the nose if you can. Just have a quick look down. Is your head over your foot? Is your front leg buttock bone compactly squeezing forwards in line with the foot? Look up. Breathe in and out through the nose. And then come back to the centre. Just swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out. So keep the arms outstretched, but try and keep this leg stretching from the front of the heel all the way up the leg and right up into the top of the leg where the crease of the groin is. Really try and elongate that action. Do the same with the back leg. So the legs become really firm. And then it might be harder to come over if you're really activating your legs, but that's all right because you're working your legs properly. So lift the legs all the way up. All the way up to the top of the thigh. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Just look down. Is your head over your foot? If it's not, then lift the chest. Squeeze the front leg buttock bone forwards. Turn the abdomen to the ceiling. Chest to the ceiling. Look up if you can. Lifting those legs up to the top of the thigh. And then come back to the centre. Bring the feet parallel. And then just come back into Tadasana. Just breathe in and out through the nose. Maybe the sinuses feel clearer. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Focus in on long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. So have a block on your right side, have a block on the left side. So we can do parsvakonnasana. This is the one where we kind of go through virasana 2, which we will do, and then we'll move into parsvak. So come into Tadasana. Again, really being conscious of the fronts of the thighs all the way up to the crease of the groin, all the way up to the top of the leg. Bring your arms in towards your chest and then step or jump, go a little wider than for trikonasana. Turn the left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out, facing the front. Bend that front knee. Find a right angle for virasana 2. Keeping this back leg really firmly straight. And then reach down, find the floor, or if you can't find the floor, use a block and then turn the abdomen up to the ceiling and then stretch the arm away. I run out of ceiling height a bit here with this pose, so I need to just, my arm isn't quite in the right place, but Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Again, another good sinus clearer. Don't lose that back leg. Keep the straight line from the straight leg into the straight arm. And then come back to the center. Swap the feet around, turn the right toes in. The left leg and foot all the way out. Keep that right leg straight as you bend into the right angle pose. And then reach down and up and over. So keeping a straight line from this straight leg into the straight arm, turning the abdomen to the ceiling, looking up underneath the armpit. Keeping that straight leg working into the top of the thigh, that bent leg working into the top of the thigh. And then come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump the feet back together. So parsvakonnasana. It's a good pose for just getting the heart going a little. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Perhaps you observe that the body needs a little more air. So allow it to take it in. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Okay, and then come down onto your knees. Have your hands shoulder width apart, have your feet hip width apart, step back, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. Again, just observing, feeling in the nostrils, listen to the breath. Spreading the toes, spreading the ball joint of the foot, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, lifting the legs all the way up to the top of the thigh. And then keeping the legs stretching up into the top of the thigh, bring the heels a little closer to the floor. So again, it's probably easy for some to just bring the heels down, and that's a nice stretch in the calves, but if you get those creases at the fronts of the thighs, at the fronts of the shins, in between the shins and the feet, then you're dropping your legs. So try and bring the heels lower without allowing those creases to appear. And then come down onto your knees. Sit back on your heels for a moment, just observing the energy that you have released through your practice so far. That real feeling of elevation, lightness. Come forwards, hinging at the hips, come back into Adho Mukha virasana. So although we bring the head down, the head is always the last thing to come down. You keep the chest lifted in this forward bend. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, trying to keep the heels down on the seat bones down on the heels. Activating your arms really deeply. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up into a seated position. Again, just sit back on your heels, just observe feeling of lightness rising up from the chest into the arms, to the head. And then come into cross legs. Just sit yourself in cross legs and hold onto your knees. Lift up into the chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. So Jalandhara Bandha. If you struggle to make contact, then put like a pair of socks, or you can fold up a belt and then just wedge that underneath your chin. So Jalandhara Bandha. Incorporate Mula Bandha by raising the anal sphincter up towards the navel region, towards the diaphragm region. And then just focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. When you fill the lungs from the bottom to the top, allow the energy of the breath to overflow from the top of the lungs and into the arms and the chest and the legs. And then gently release Mula Bandha, release Jalandhara Bandha, and then raise your head. Lift the heart area to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And then turn to the right side, digging the back hand firmly into the floor, turning the chest, turning the ribs, turning the shoulders, keeping the head just looking forwards in relation to the shoulders. Using each exhalation to turn a little more deeply. And then come back to the centre, hold onto your knees. Just lift up into the chest and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the centre. Okay, so we're going to do a restorative pose to finish. A little inversion, it's just a very brief inversion.
So get your blanket, unfold it so it's like kind of this kind of quarter fold, and then roll the end up into a bit of a Swiss roll. So you've still got kind of half of the blanket for your head, but you've got this roll for your head. Then you can use a bolster. If you haven't got a bolster, you can just use some cushions. So this is really nice for a stiff neck. So you just can come down onto the floor and then just slot your neck over the rolled up blanket. It should feel quite firm but not restrictive. If it feels restrictive, it's too big. And then bring the feet close to the seat bones, lift the seat bones up, and then bring the bolster underneath the back. So it's underneath the kind of middle of the back, going down all the way down to the seat bones. So at this stage, just assess whether you're A, in a straight line, B, comfortable, C, whether the bolster roll is big enough or too big. So just find the right level for you, and then just allow the body, keep the legs bent, keep the feet flat on the floor, and then allow the body to rest into the bolster. So if you're not quite comfortable, or if it doesn't feel quite right, just adjust. If you feel like you're dropping your chest, just shuffle the bolster up, the back a little more, and then just rest into the floor. So this restorative bridge pose is a really gentle inversion. Just let the muscles completely relax. Let the muscles relax of the arms and the legs. Just let the neck rest into the roll of the blanket. Again, if it doesn't feel comfortable in the neck, just adjust the position of the bolster, the blanket. So restorative poses are purposefully unextended. We just allow the body to relax. So if it feels uncomfortable, just adjust until it doesn't.
Just observe your breath, just taking deep inhalations and exhalations. Perhaps you observe the openness of your sinuses, the ability to take really good deep inhalations. And then when you're ready, just walk your feet a little closer to the bolster. Just lift the bolster and then slide it away, and then bring the bolster underneath your knees. You can stay with the blanket underneath your neck just as long as it's comfortable. Maybe just make it a little smaller. Just rest into the floor in shavasana, just making sure that you're in a good straight line. Just release into the ground, unhooking the muscles of the arms and the legs, allowing the body to become physically heavy into the floor, and then releasing a feeling of energetic lightness from the bones and into the muscles. Observing that feeling of lightness radiating from the muscles, from the bones and into the muscles, radiating from the bones and into the muscles and the organs, and the flesh and the skin. And then gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. And then bend your knees, bring your feet onto the bolster, have your feet apart, your knees together. Excuse me. Pull your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then roll onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just cross legs with your hands in the Namastī, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the reclining poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created around the heart area. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy. You give yourself a good old stretch and you've got some release around the neck and the shoulders. So thank you very much for joining me.